Awaken!
Awaken yourself.
This is for weight loss. We have an acronym, AWAKEN.
Awaken for health, fitness,
Air, breath, water, avoid,
healthy
cabbage,
food,
vitamin K,
exercise,
nutrition and
fiber.
This is Desiree Duvernay.
And Rita Namini.
Here we are today to give you a little tip on weight loss.
And health.
We've analyzed all the science, all the recent science for you to make sure we could get the best program for weight loss. We have an acronym: air, water, what to avoid, K vitamins, cabbage, exercise, nutrition.
Now we're going to guide you through all the important points: how to eat, what not to eat.
We start with air.
How to breathe properly.
We need oxygen, but actually we are designed to take in air. And this is the number one nutrient. You cannot go without air even for a couple of minutes.
We are going to teach you all the breathing techniques you need.
So basically, the way that you lose weight, we got to get the diaphragm working, and the way that you're going to lose weight is breathing. By breathing, you start to generate weight loss.
Belly, chest, hat. That's the way it goes. Like this. And letting go. Fully in. Letting go.
Now let's add some more parasympathetic juice to this. Inhale, stimulating the vagus nerve, belly goes out. Joyful smile, stimulating the facial nerve. Serene eyes, stimulating the oculomotor. And pleasurable exhale, stimulating the glossopharyngeal.
You feel charged. You feel very lightheaded, loose in the body, tingling, strong. That's a charge. And you take him in. You let it go. You stop. Time again. And let it go.
As we do these 30 breaths, when we get down to the end, then we're going to relax and hold the breath.
No breathing in.
Okay, as long as you can until there's a gas reflex. This will allow carbon dioxide to build up in the body and then to charge the brain with oxygen as we then come back. It's all part of the process that doing these breath exercises a couple of times a day will really stimulate weight loss, because weight loss really depends on oxygenation and breath and carbon dioxide coming out. That's how we detox all of the different fat molecules. That's how we break up fat. Breathing.
Breathing health exercise for 30 breaths. Relax, sit or lie down. Then fill the belly with air. Fill the chest with air. Fill the head with air. Use a pineal gaze by stare up at the center of the brow. On exhale, pull head forward to pump the cranial spinal fluid. Take 30 deep breaths. Exhale fully, not forcefully. Then hold as long as you can. Wait until you felt fear and the gastric reflex. Then breathe, relax. This will make you alkaline, relaxed, creative, and healthy. Awaken, weight loss. This is the new generation of health.
One of the best ways for weight loss is the bellows breathing of yoga.
So when you're trying bellows breathing at home, here's how to do it. First, close your eyes. Second, inhale, extend the arms up towards the ceiling and spread the fingers. Third, exhale forcefully through the nose and bring the arms right into the chest as you make your hands into a fist. And you can repeat that 10, 15, 20 times. And here's how we do it.
Use the belly, use all the lungs, get air everywhere you possibly can, about 15 or 20 times. This is the bellows.
So I'm going to inhale and exhale slowly from this center, from this third chakra, solar plexus. I'm going to bring my thumb and my first two fingers together on both hands. Inhale. And anytime you need to stop and take a full inhale, take an inhale and continue for about a minute. Thank you.
The next step to awaken weight loss is water.
How much water
should you drink a day? It's a great question. It's a question that we commonly get asked. Most adults are underhydrated. We simply don't drink enough water. We're not thinking about it. We think we are, but when you actually sit and count up how much water you drink, it's oftentimes not nearly enough. In terms of how much water should you drink a day, an easy goal is that your urine should kind of look like water. The moment your urine starts to get deep yellow in color, it's your body telling you that your urine is very concentrated and that you need to be drinking more.
The next needed nutrient is water, air and water, but we need water for the absorption of all the other nutrients, to absorb carbs, protein, fats. It's important to consume water in the right way because most people are consuming water in the wrong way. Most of us are drinking water wrong. And you know what that can do? That can lead to a drinking problem. Yes. So we need to be able to solve it, and we do not want to drink water after a meal. Don't drink water after a meal. Don't drink a lot of things after a meal. You should try to maximize digestion, because when you eat, the body temperature rises for better digestion, for the stomach to do its job. If you want to drink water before a meal, make sure it's 30 minutes before a meal to have enough water to clean out the stomach and get digestion ready. That's a good thing, but 30 minutes, not less. A couple of cups of water 30 minutes before a meal, and that can help your digestion. Right before the meal is the problem. But now, if you're taking this water after a meal, any type of liquid, it's going to dilute your stomach acid. It's going to then, the food will rot in the system, inside the stomach, inside the intestine, and when the food rots, everything goes wrong. We have to obey the rules of the stomach. Fluids alone, no coffee at meals, no milk with meals, fruits alone, melons alone. Small is better. Eat for nutrition, not stimulation. Rest comfortably. Maximizes. We got to get the stomach to work properly. Study the rules of the stomach. Because that when you have that rotting inside the system, you are disturbed the stomach acid, and the food is not properly digested. Large undigested fats, large undigested proteins will create weight problems. Make sure that you do not drink water after a meal. Now, water is good for you. Drink when you're hungry, use a straw. Drink slowly, don't guzzle.
Many people say, I eat healthy, but I don't get the results. Because I drink water a lot, but I don't lose weight. Water after meals acts like slow poison. Don't drink and eat at the same time. Rinse your mouth post meals. It really helps a lot. After dinner, rest a while. After supper, walk a mile. Obey the rules of the stomach and relax at least for 30 minutes after eating so the digestion process can be maximized and you can store the needed nutrition. Use lemon drinks for weight loss. Lemon water, cucumber, mint.
During the day, not after eating.
Combine it with water, ginger, lemon.
The stomach works when it's acid. Our mouth works when it's basic.
The more saliva goes inside the stomach, the better it is.
So we want to drink slowly. Okay, don't guzzle. Try to use the saliva in the mouth. But try to make sure that it's working slowly. We use different infused waters, all different types of things to enhance the flavor.
These are great recipes for weight loss.
And then as we're doing it, recognize also we don't want too cold or too hot. Too cold will shrink the blood vessels, solidify fat in the food, aggravate joint pains, and it will decrease the heart rate. The Chinese made cups very thin so that if the water is too hot, the tea is too hot or too cold, then your fingers have the same thing as your stomach. So if it is too hot, it's going to hurt the stomach. Too cold, going to hurt the stomach. Too cold, we often do, but recognize, decreases heart rate, aggravates joint pain, shrinks the blood vessels, solidifies fat in food. It upsets digestion. So make sure that we're getting cool or warm. A lot of people say we should drink warm water, room temperature. In fact, some people say lukewarm water is good for weight loss. Okay, a little bit of lemon, some hot water for weight loss. A lot of people will say that. And as we start to recognize about water and how to drink it properly, we start to see that we don't want to drink too much water. How much water should we drink?
The number to remember is about 2 liters of water a day. That's about 4 small bottles of water that we commonly buy on the street.
Don't drink too much. Don't guzzle water on the run. Okay? Sip it lightly. The body's not really designed to handle water properly if you're standing. It puts a little pressure on the kidney.
Kidneys are unable to process too much amount of water at one time.
So use it gently. Recognize weight loss, digestion, brain, skin, headache, energy, better exercise. Water does so much for you. And the next thing is,
the next key part of a successful weight loss project is to learn what not to eat. Avoid synthetic foods, avoid high glycemic foods, avoid processed foods, avoid white sugars, avoid foods boiled in oil, and avoid nitrate meat.
we know better than to eat dirt out of the garden or eat our old shoes, but there's a lot of foods that are being sold to us that are even worse for us, creating disease. We have to learn what to avoid. And very important, the synthetic sweeteners, these are terrible foods. They have no life force, they destroy the bowel bacteria, they limit your hormones for thinking, they make all different types of disease. We have to learn to avoid these foods. We have to learn to avoid processed foods. We all know to avoid the junk foods. We have to really seriously avoid these things. Avoid all of the different processed foods. They're terrible for us. And when we look at the causes of disease, we're going to see that undeniably the ultra-processed and the processed foods versus the unprocessed diet, we're going to see that this is the cause of weight gain. We must stop boiling foods in oil. We must realize that French fries kill more people than guns and sharks. We have to start avoiding the high-calorie, low-nutrient foods like corn, potatoes, and sugar. We have to be able to get to a new idea. And it starts with what to not eat, because our society is feeding us a whole bunch of things that make us fat.
The next step of our weight loss is the vitamin K, cabbage.
Yes, I spelled cabbage with a K in order to keep the acronym AWAKEN.
Vitamin D is this codependent little wimpy vitamin that's not really a vitamin at all, it's technically a hormone, and it needs K2 to properly do its job. So I want to give you this video that explains why they should be coupled together. And
Vitamin D, the body itself makes vitamin D when it is exposed to the sun. Cheese, eggs, butter, margarine, fortified milk, fish, and fortified cereals are the source of vitamin D.
we absorb vitamin D generally from the sun, and it goes through a methylation process by the liver that kind of converts it into more of a hormone. Now, 80% of the population is deficient in vitamin D. A lot of it has to do with the fact that we're not outside as much. Our bodies are becoming more adapted to just being indoors all the time.
Vitamin D has been associated with weight loss.
Many studies have shown that just taking vitamin D can help weight loss.
The research conclusion: the more vitamin D in your body, the more fat you lose, up to 70% more, without cutting a single extra calorie.
Just take vitamin D.
They gave half the test subjects 4,000 IUs of vitamin D, and the other half they gave a placebo. Well, at the end of 12 weeks, it was found that both sets of test subjects lost the same amount of weight.
But vitamin D was very conclusive in getting weight off of the belly. Getting weight off of the belly, you need vitamin D. And also you need vitamin K.
But those that had the vitamin D supplementation had a significantly lower waist to hip ratio, which tells us that vitamin D has a direct correlation with losing a little bit more of that stubborn belly fat. Now,
Vitamin K. Food sources of vitamin K include cabbage, cauliflower, spinach, and other green leafy vegetables, as well as cereals.
Vitamin K helps your blood to clot, deal with many different things, help to relieve ulcers and many other things. But it's fantastic at helping you lose weight. It helps to restore the bowel flora to its proper condition and generate the hormones that you need for all of life. The cabbage soup diet really does help you to lose weight.
Now, the only foods that you can really get vitamin D from are fish and eggs.
The cabbage soup diet works. Lose 10 pounds in 7 days.
It really does work. You should try it. It cleans up the bowel flora as well.
At the end of the day, you've got this triple threat. You need calcium, you need D3, and you need K2. So the best way that you're going to get this from eating the right kind of meat sources, organic meat sources, sometimes the right kind of goat cheeses, the right kind of hard cheeses that allow you to get the right kind of calcium and K2 that you need.
But what we really need is whole plant foods. And the cabbage is a phenomenal food with the vitamin K. Keep this in mind. There's several benefits of the cabbage. It's phenomenal. It's a magic food to help make sure your bowel flora gets completely restored and make sure that it works properly.
Combine it with some proper exercise daily. You need at least 30 minutes to keep your speed and rhythm going.
And our next part of the AWAKEN process is exercise. So we've talked now before about air, water, what to avoid, cabbage, exercise, and now we have to get to, let's deal with exercise. We're going to talk about high intensity.
The whole idea with high intensity interval training is you need to 100% be pushing it to the max and then recovering for however long it takes, whether it's 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, to be able to be fully recovered to give it 100% again.
Here we see a high intensity exercise where you have to push to the max, speed up your intensity, and actually exercise for a little bit of shorter time, and
25 seconds.
Then you can relax a little bit longer. Here it helps you to turn on the weight loss and your metabolism a little bit more fast, properly. The research says everybody can do from 15 to 20 minutes exercise per day. We recommend and we believe everybody should do at least 30 minutes a day.
Now here's more examples of the high intensity. We think 30 minutes, 40 minutes a day is the ideal, but you might want to do this high intensity.
You just have to push,
Maximum effort.
and then your brain tells to the muscle to become stronger, bigger, because you have to survive and you have to complete your project and mission.
Rita and I have usually found that 30 seconds is much better than the 25 seconds. But that kind of depends. But the whole idea is that you push to the max. This makes your brain scream out, I need help, releases the hormones for you to lose weight. But be sure to relax.
Doing high intensity interval training, we are activating the anaerobic system of the body. So I want you to think of high intensity interval training cardio the same way that you would think of weight training. Weight training operates with the same metabolic business in your body that high intensity interval training does.
As we see here, muscle work and even high intensity is burning up calories, so it uses up the energy supply. If you want to lose weight, the best thing to do is do muscle workout and high intensity.
Longer than 20 or 25 seconds, then you're not pushing it at 90 or 100%. Plain and simple, period. You should be going all the way, then recovering as much as you possibly need to be able to afford to push it 100% again.
As soon as you push your body to the max, your brain will get the signal to release the needed hormone for your weight loss and for your muscle building process. So just don't give it up.
When the brain gets the signal that you're in trouble, your survival's in trouble, it releases those hormones.
It varies from person to person on how long the rest periods should be. It is absolutely not uniform. So for example, you should be doing your high intensity training all the way pedal to the metal for like 15-20 seconds. Because quite honestly, that's about how much energy you have stored up in your body to really perform at 90 to 100%.
High intensity is not for everyone. Not everybody has the ability to really push. If you can, you will maximize weight loss. But exercise is needed to be healthy.
But if you have any joint or knee problem, just watch to do the proper exercise. Exercise to be healthy and to shape your body, but lose weight in the kitchen.
We're going to next be talking about nutrition, what to eat. We've already talked about what to avoid. Now we need to learn what to eat.
I have scoured through the medical literature at all the randomized controlled trials, and the single most successful strategy to date is a diet of whole plant foods. The single most effective intervention like that ever published in the peer-reviewed scientific medical literature, a whole food plant-based diet. That works better than anything else studied to date.
The whole plant food diet means we're getting the whole plant, that we're getting that cell wall. We're not going to take parts out of the plant and try to synthetically drive it. But we're going to use the whole plant. We can cook it, that's fine. But what we're going to find is that the cell walls in the plant cells have the cellulose and the other fiber that needs to feed our bowel bacteria. So we see the effects that it has on weight loss.
I mean, we've known for more than 40 years that those who eat predominantly plant-based weigh, on average, about 30 pounds lighter than the general population. But you don't know if it's the diet itself until you put it to the test. In 2017, a group of researchers in New Zealand published a broad study, a 12-week randomized controlled trial in the region with the highest obesity rates, the poorest region in the country. Overweight individuals were randomized to either standard medical care or semi-weekly classes offering advice and encouragement to eat a low-fat diet centered around fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, which are beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils. And that's all it was, just empowerment with knowledge. No meals were provided. People were merely informed about the benefits of plant-based eating and encouraged to, incorporate it into their own lives. No significant change in the control group, but the plant-based intervention group, even without any restrictions on portions, being able to freely eat all the healthy foods they wanted, lost, on average, 19 pounds by the end of the 3-month study. Look, 19 pounds is a respectable weight loss.
And it was done with plant-based food, whole plant food, cooked well, seasoned, learning how to cook, learning how to capture the flavor, learning how to use the whole plant food.
But what happened next? At the end of those 12 weeks, class was dismissed and no more instruction was given. The researchers were curious, how much weight the subjects had gained back after being released from the study. So at the 6-month mark, everyone was invited back to get reweighed. The plant-based group had left the 3-month study 19 pounds lighter, but by 6 months they were only down about 27 pounds. They got even better. The plant-based group was feeling so good physically and mentally, had been able to come off so many of their medications that they were sticking with the diet on their own, and the weight had continued to come off.
Now they're getting their fiber from the cell walls of the plant to stabilize the gut. The fiber helps electrically stimulate everything and feeds the gut bacteria. So now they're making the hormones serotonin, GABA, dopamine, oxytocin. They're making everything themselves. They don't need a pharmacy. They're making everything inside their cells. They're establishing health, vitality to the human being. Not only is this the most successful weight loss, it lowers blood sugar for diabetes, improves kidney function. In fact, it is the universal diet that we now know helps virtually everything.
All right, what about a year later? Even in studies that last a whole year, where people are, put on a particular diet, coached the entire year to stick to it, by the end of the year, any initial weight loss in the first few months tends to creep on back. The broad study only lasted 3 months, yet after it was all over, those who had been randomized to the plant-based group not only lost dozens of pounds, they kept it off. They not only lost more weight at 6 and 12 months than any other comparable trial. That was months after the study had already ended. Whole food plant-based diet achieved the greatest weight loss ever recorded compared to any other such trial published in the medical literature. You can read the record-breaking study free in full at nature.com/article/NUTD2173, or just point your phone camera at the screen and pick off the QR code.
Now, if you want to go on the plant-based diet, it's very simple. to be able to just get the fruits and vegetables, the spices, the legumes, the grains, and to prepare these things. It just needs a little bit of recipe training, and your palate will readjust very simply. And it's just getting the whole plant foods more into your diet.
Any diet that results in a reduction in calorie intake can result in weight loss. Dropping pounds isn't so much the issue. The problem is keeping them off. And a key difference between plant-based nutrition and more traditional approaches to weight loss is people are encouraged to eat ad libitum, meaning you can eat as much as you want. No calorie counting, no portion control, just eating. Right? The strategy is to improve the quality of the food rather than restricting the quantity of food.
Learning to eat right, change the food, change your life, and learning to eat what the human body was meant to eat. Whole plant foods. This should be our primary source of diet.
If you put people on a diet packed with fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans, allow them to eat as much as they want, they end up eating about 50% fewer calories than they otherwise would. Wait, how can you keep people satisfied removing 1,000 calories out of their daily diet? By eating more high bulk, low calorie density foods, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and beans, and fewer calorie dense foods, the meats, cheeses, sugars, and fats. But it may not just be the calories in side of the equation.
When you start to get the whole plant foods like these smoothies, you're getting these cell walls. This will take a little bit more effort to digest, and you're starting to get the proper fiber that people need. And if we can learn what not to eat the high-fat foods, and the boiled in oil foods and the nitrates, we start to learn more about this, what not to eat, and what to eat, we start to get more healthy.
Those eating more plant-based appear to effectively be burning more calories in their sleep. The resting metabolic rate of those eating more plant-based may be 10% higher or more, a boost of metabolism that can translate into burning off hundreds of extra calories a day more without doing a thing. Eating plant-based, you burn more calories just being alive, just existing.
Yes, you can lose weight while you sleep. Your metabolic rate goes up when you start getting these high fiber foods. This produces the ability to balance the body, getting the different foods that you need. And if you use hot air popcorn and other things, you can get the fiber and increase your health.
Food plant-based diets have been shown to actually reverse heart disease. That's what Ornish and Pritikin used. So what appears to be the most effective diet for weight loss just so happens to be the only diet ever proven to reverse heart disease in the majority of patients. If my grandma didn't have to die like that, maybe no one's grandma has to die like that. If that's all a plant-based diet could do, reverse the #1 killer of men and women, shouldn't that kind of be the default diet to proven otherwise? And the fact that it can also be so effective in treating, arresting, or reversing other leading killers like type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure would seem to make the case for plant-based eating simply overwhelming. Only one diet has ever been shown to do all that, a diet centered around whole plant foods.
The benefits of the whole plant food for weight loss, to improve the mind, to improve the blood, to improve everything. It's incredible, powerful, earth-changing. We now recognize that we have to get the cell walls. We can't strip them away. We have to get the whole plant food, and it's easy to change your palate and to get this type of food. Within just a short period of time, your palate will reorganize. And once you start to make these hormones in your gut, the happiness hormones, the stress reduction, the motivation, the bonding hormones, your life becomes better in 1,000 ways. Okay, our new scientific program for weight loss, AWAKEN. I'm Desiree Duvernay.
I'm Rita Nami. Just keep your motivation. Doesn't matter how small steps you take every day. Just keep moving forward.
Eat the good food, avoid the bad food. Get the right exercise, get the air, the water, the breathing, all of these things.
Choose your meals wisely.
And you can awaken the health and awaken the weight loss.
And you can connect your body, your mind, and spirit.
We've given you all the tools now. Air and water are nutrients you need. Exercise is a nutrient. Love, respect, all nutrients. Pay attention.
Just keep up the base.
Get your cabbage soup.
Bye.
Here we are at IMUNE with a little course on basic biology, getting to the core of most people's problems in healthcare, which is obesity, depression, and these other type of health problems, heart disease, and etc., etc. And they have their basic origin in lifestyle abuse as a child. We have to start talking about who are the enemies to health. And this is what we drill into you over and over again at IMUNE, and here's just another video to really echo this. That high glycemic white sugar creates surges of high blood sugar followed by low blood sugar. First you get hyperglycemia followed by hypoglycemia. When you get that excess of sugar, it damages different parts of the circulatory system, including veins, capillaries, and even arteries, creating scarring. If you look at what happens to a diabetic, we can see what that extra sugar does in long contact, but there's small effects that happen even just by having one very, very large chocolate bar. One chocolate bar can create such a surge that it can create damage in the circulatory system that won't be seen later until maybe 40, 50 years later with a heart attack or some other problem. So we have to try to look at some of the different ideas of what are the enemies. And if we look at the effects of the antibiotics on the entire synthetic drug culture, because to use a synthetic anything is an insult to the body. And if we start doing that insult to the body and setting up dynamics where the body doesn't take care of itself, but the body depends on outside intervention, then we have hurt the body. We have to get to the idea about the glycemic foods are doing, and the dangers of the white sugars and the white flours and the processed foods, combined with the synthetics. We have to take a look at the damage that is often done by iatrogenic disease and these different drugs. We have to look at the idea of what smoking does. The dramatic, incredible effects of the #1 killer on the planet, the cigarette smoke, and how these companies that sell these things go rampant. The effects of what's happening from petrochemicals and insecticides and a chemical regime that's just gone crazy. We have to be able to look at those different things. And when we see that those things can not only affect the circulatory system, creating a stroke risk and heart attack risk and other things in the future, we also see how they destroy the bowel flora. And when they destroy the bowel flora, that produces another problem where we don't get the proper utilization of our B vitamins and other different nutrition that we need to absorb with the help of good bacteria in the bowel. And now we have a host of other depression, emotional problems, impulse control, anger management, and a host of other things that are being developed because we have upset the apple cart with antibiotic sugar and a host of other things into the bowel flora. Now we're going to watch a little video to understand more about this bowel flora.
The advice you're following is based on proven facts so that you avoid continued disappointment. With that being said, listen closely to what my good friend, fat loss expert, and international best-selling weight loss author Kyle Leon will now share, because it will be the most important fat loss information you ever hear. Kyle will be sharing what new research proves to be the single element responsible for the epidemic of Western weight gain, your body's inability to burn fat, and over 170 different diseases.
Thank you, John. Hi, let's get right into the vital information you need to know. Newest research proves that virtually everything to do with weight gain and fat loss is directly related to what the medical community refers to as our second brain, or our GI tract. Your GI tract is home to your immune system and contains trillions of living bacteria. And believe it or not, science has recently proven that this bacteria is in control of virtually everything to do with your metabolism and your overall health. Now, everyone has a certain percentage of good bacteria, commonly referred to as probiotic, and a percentage of bad bacteria, known as pathogenic. The natural balance of good bacteria to bad bacteria in healthy people with efficient fat-burning metabolisms is 85% good to 15% bad. You know these types of people. They're the people that can seem to eat anything and always stay lean. Now, the following fact may be hard to swallow, so be ready. Science has recently discovered that virtually all overweight men and women have an excess of pathogenic bacteria and too little probiotic bacteria. And here's why that's very bad news. For starters, the excess pathogenic bacteria flat out cripples your metabolism. It quite literally hijacks and destroys your fat-burning hormones while sending your fat-storing hormones through the roof. This alone makes it impossible to burn fat and results in even the healthy food you're eating being turned into the unsightly flab you're so desperately trying to rid yourself of. And if you've ever felt like you're gaining weight even when you're eating next to nothing, this is, in all likelihood, the exact reason why. What's more is that you're hungrier than you should be, and for all of the wrong foods. And the reason why is quite startling. You see, the metabolism-slowing bad bacteria actually reprograms your taste buds and your brain to crave all of the foods that it needs to multiply. Yes, you heard that correctly. The bad bacteria in your gut is using your body as a restaurant and is quite literally making you crave the food that it wants and needs. And the more bad bacteria you have, the more cravings you get for all of the wrong foods. Foods that are literally feeding your bad bacteria and allowing them to multiply uncontrollably. Sugar is at the top of this list that your bad bacteria devours and multiplies on. If you've ever done that experiment in high school science class where you pour sugar on a petri dish in order to grow bacteria, that's exactly what's happening in your stomach right now. And unfortunately, multiple studies now prove artificial sweeteners to be even worse than sugar for fueling your bad bacteria and allowing it to terrorize your metabolism and your immune system. And even with the millions of dollars they have, the massive money-hungry food manufacturers will not be able to keep truths like this hidden for much longer. Truths that help explain why in the zero-calorie, diet soda age, the Western world is heavier and sicker than ever. There are also some other very surprising foods that you may think are healthy that are actually causing your fat-storing bacteria to flourish as well. Even some vegetables that we'll touch on shortly. Now, as odd as it sounds, the reality is every piece of food you eat feeds either your good bacteria or your bad bacteria before it even has a chance to nourish you. You're unknowingly experiencing an inner battle between your good and bad bacteria with each and every meal you consume. And your nutrition is vital in order to maintain the ideal ratio of good to bad bacteria, which is now being recognized as the single most important factor for being able to experience healthy, long-term weight loss. Unfortunately, in the modern Western diet that's dominated by processed, sugar-laden foods and chemicals that you're exposed to on a daily basis, a playground has been created for your fat-storing pathogenic bacteria to flourish uncontrollably. And we can't forget to mention what is one of the worst obesity-causing pathogenic bacteria multipliers of all: antibiotics. Study after study proves the rate of obesity to be rising parallel to the use of antibiotics because of this. Heck, farmers figured this out long ago when they realized they just have to pump their livestock full of antibiotics in order to fatten them up like crazy. These antibiotics fed to livestock, of course, end up finding their way into your GI tract, allowing your bad bacteria to flourish even more. And when your fat-storing, health-derailing bacteria is flourishing, it's not just a weight loss nightmare. It also kills your energy, focus, and immune system and leaves you feeling sluggish and extremely susceptible to sickness. As a matter of fact, science has directly linked over 170 different diseases to pathogenic bacteria imbalance. You see, in addition to struggling with your weight, other telltale signs you're suffering from this imbalance include, but are not limited to, gas, bloating, indigestion, constipation, IBS or diarrhea, acid reflux, frequent headaches, anxiety, trouble sleeping, low energy, and sugar cravings. And as if suffering from a fat-storing metabolism, hunger cravings, a damaged immune system, and feeling sick and tired all of the time isn't bad enough, it gets worse for women. Much worse. Doctors Caroline Dean and William Crook, in their recent book, The Yeast Connection and Women's Health, hit the nail on the head when referring to pathogenic bacteria in these terms. The number of women suffering in silence, not even knowing what is really wrong, and blaming themselves for failing is, I believe, literally numbered in the millions. Millions of women who can't lose weight and have no idea why. And as if this isn't bad enough, science has discovered that if you're experiencing this bacterial imbalance when you become pregnant, it's passed on to your child, resulting in your baby inheriting the same weight gain and health battles that you're fighting right now, along with being more prone to developmental disorders unless your imbalance is corrected first. It's like the studies that prove when a healthy, lean mouse is injected with pathogenic bacteria from an unhealthy fat mouse, it becomes fat and sick in no time. Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, a world-leading medical authority in gut bacteria research, expresses this concern for women best when she says, "Mothers of my generation who have daughters who are growing up now is the time to assess your daughter, see what her gut flora is like. How is she doing before she's ready to conceive or have children? Prepare them for it to avoid the huge amount of grief in the family of having a grandchild with autism, hyperactivity, obsessive-compulsive disorder, or some other disorder." The truth is, you've either been born into this bacterial imbalance or you're a victim of the modern Western environment that causes it. Either way, your struggle with your weight gain to this point is certainly not your fault. You see, your bacterial imbalance is the true reason why you're suffering with a slow, fat-storing metabolism, and nothing will work until it's corrected. And we're very excited to let you know there's a simple, breakthrough solution to kill off your excess fat-storing bacteria while completely resetting your GI tract to nature's intended balance. A balance dominated by your healthy, fat-burning bacteria. A balance that allows you to experience the fast, fat-burning metabolism, energy levels, vitality, and health that nature has always intended for you. Just for a second, picture how much leaner your stomach is and how amazing it feels when your body is no longer plagued by the very real fat-storing toxic state that it's in right now. I'd like to introduce you to our third panel member to show you exactly how you can make this your reality today. This gentleman has not only helped transform thousands of good folks around the world with his best-selling weight loss books, but he's a recognized authority in gut bacteria research. His name is Brad Pilon.
Thank you, Kyle. It's my great pleasure to now turn our presentation towards what is the only way that's ever been discovered to successfully destroy your excess pathogenic bacteria while multiplying your fat-burning probiotic bacteria. I'm referring to a breakthrough solution called microbiologic rebalancing. Microbiologic rebalancing consists of unusual yet extremely effective nutrition strategies that are the key to correcting your bacterial imbalance and creating a healthy, fat-burning metabolism and lifelong weight loss. These are the totally unique strategies this panel uses to help countless thousands of men and women experience rapid, long-term, and life-changing fat loss when absolutely nothing else works. Microbiologic rebalancing is the cornerstone of what is quite simply the most powerful, natural, fat-burning system this panel has ever seen, designed, or been a part of. Remember, everything you've been doing up until now has not worked, and now you know why. And although it hasn't been your fault, continuing on such a path will inevitably lead you to even more frustration and greater despair as the weeks pass by and your struggle with your weight gain worsens. This will continue to negatively affect everything in your life, from your health to your relationships with your family, friends, and even all the way down to the vacations you choose and the clothes you wear. And as a woman, remember the very real danger of passing your suffering onto your unborn child. None of this is what we want for you, and we know this is not what you desire for yourself.
You are what you eat, and if you eat junk food, you'll have a junk body. This is the basic dictum. See, if you eat good food, you'll make good cells and have a good body. Every 2 to 4 weeks, your skin replaces yourself, your liver, taste buds. Over a period of time, everything becomes new out of what you take in. So you are definitely what you eat. This is a basic dictum. But not just what you eat, you are what you absorb. This is even more important. We teach this in our books about the fossil lab procedure. You are not just what you eat, you are what you absorb. And there are problems inside the small and large intestine that create a problem. You can read the books about this, and this is basically, we have people with big belly problems for a reason. Inside the cells, there's an accumulation of different problems and a swelling of the tissue. The belly should be just one width of the hand from the belly button to the sides. If it's longer and bigger than that, that means that your small intestine is distorted and distended, enlarged. If you have an enlarged liver or any other enlarged part of the body, it's a problem. It's also a problem in the gut. Now, this bowel bacteria can live in there and cause this swelling. You can have bad bowel bacteria. If you have too much bad bowel bacteria, it will produce farting. It will produce rectal gas. You should fart 14 times a day, but that's really too much. That's a symptom that you have too much bad bowel bacteria. If you have good, healthy bowel bacteria, you should fart once or twice a day. And if you have bad bowel bacteria, as we've been discussing, it will create a problem. Here we see a healthy belly, that healthy distance between the navel and the side, 1 hand width. That's what we really need. And if we start looking at all of the different beautiful people, we see that the beautiful people don't eat the shit and junk food. They have to watch their diet and exercise. They don't eat the junk food. That's how they become beautiful and stay fit. Their diet is very important. And there's lots of different research that's shown that our machine can also help with bacteria, that we can also help to balance the bowel flora. But we also need to pay more attention, and I have developed a diet to be able to help you. A diet to be able to help with the gut dysbiosis, or the accumulation of bad bowel bacteria. All the different research that's led up to this, and you can get this in our books to learn an awful lot more. And the Eductor can really help people with this. But now let's get into the different types of the aspects of the diet and just what we're going to do. We have to start with the idea to avoid synthetic foods, high glycemic foods, processed foods, white sugars, all foods boiled in oil, and avoid the hot dogs and the nitrates and all those different meats put together like that. They will feed the bad bowel bacteria and create more problems. To kill the bowel bacteria, I'm going to use this formula here of the oregano, grapefruit seed oil, tea tree oil, and tomato juice, prunes, and a cup of garlic, echinacea, golden seal tea. This will really help clean out the body and clean out those things. So you can do colonics during this first week or two, but don't overdo colonics, because if you get dependent on it, it will create the same problem. You want to cleanse your colon naturally. and help to reestablish healthy bowel flora. For that first week, we want to take honey before bed, because this will kill those bad bowel bacteria and good bacteria. Overcook the foods for that first week, overcook those vegetables to help minimize the amount of struggle your digestive system has. Use overcooked foods. Cooked eggs, hard-boiled eggs, have also been proven helpful at this state, as is cabbage juice, but make it dilute as possible. And we want to also use ginger tea and a host of other different teas during the first week to clean out all of that bad bacteria and to minimize the stress and tension on the intestines so that we can clean them out. These different foods, turmeric, beets, papaya, lemon, ginger, chia, all of this can be very helpful. And the tea tree oil mixed in with a little bit of the different teas can also be helpful. Now we've been able to prove this, and the skio can also help detox. And I've written a whole book about juicing. But the key is that most of the juices you buy are too strong. They need to be diluted. Now, after we've done this week, we've cleansed. Now we want to go into a probiotic and first a prebiotic. The prebiotic foods, they're going to help set the stage for the beneficial bacteria. Cabbage, chicory, onions, garlic, bananas, lentils, legumes. All of what you see here, especially kimchi, sauerkraut, these are all very good prebiotic foods. And now we bring these slowly back into the diet to help the body. And if we bring them in too fast, we might get gas. Then we could switch to the probiotics, which are going to be supplying the healthy, good quality bacteria. Now Jesus said, he had a different idea about nutrition, because Jesus said it's not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out. That's also another idea about this. Yoga can be very helpful, as is exercise. But as we set the stage and go to prebiotic and probiotic, we can start to really learn more about establishing a good, healthy type of idea, using veggie burgers, not that junk food, making sure we get good, healthy foods. And you shouldn't have to be rich to buy these things. And eating good vegetables does help build up your immune system. There are lots and lots of benefits, and foods can be a slow poison or your best medicine. You have to understand learning how to eat and how to eat properly. So with this little bit of advice given to you, and what we will see is after we cleaned up that bowel, we will be getting much more B vitamins. Everything will start to work better as the magic of the small and large intestine will increase. Nutrition will increase, everything will increase, and we will now start to eliminate depression, dementia, diarrhea, all of the different types of mental diseases, all the different types of other problems, cardiovascular problems, as most of the different problems that exist today are centered in that bad bowel. We clean up that bowel, put in good bacteria, and we can be slim and trim, healthy, wealthy, and wise. And this is some of the advice for you. Desiree Dubonnet.
This program is really good. I fully recommend it, and I'd like you to consider the Flat Belly Forever program.
I'd like to introduce you to Flat Belly Forever. Flat Belly Forever is the first and only weight loss plan proven to deliver a dramatically faster, healthier, fat-burning metabolism by rebalancing your gut bacteria for long-term, enjoyable fat loss without tasteless diet foods or any cardio whatsoever. Flat Belly Forever will work for you even if you have the absolute worst genetics in the world, a terrible metabolism, a thyroid condition, or even if you think you've tried everything, just like it does for all of this panel's most overweight and genetically challenged clients. Correct this condition you've been plagued with and enjoy the same weight loss success thousands of others like you already have that have come before you. Imagine how empowering it feels to finally be in complete control of your weight loss, and how capable you are when you are alive, vibrant, healthy, and full of energy. And imagine how satisfying it is to know the food you're eating that used to make you gain weight is now being used by your metabolism as fuel to accelerate your weight loss. Just picture how amazing it feels to wake up to see your belly vanishing in the bathroom mirror each morning. And how good you look wearing the clothes you've always wanted to wear, because now they fit the way you've always wanted them to fit. Your new health and self-confidence improves every relationship you have, the decisions you make, and even the opportunities that now come your way. It's time to make this your reality. Unlock your full fat-burning potential and claim your new metabolism, your new life, and your new healthy future right now.
These books and this whole procedure with the Flat Belly Forever, this is really a good program. You should really look into it. You should look into our books and look into all the different ideas. How we can get the small intestine down to the proper size with probiotics. Now let's listen to a testimonial about the quantum biofeedback system rebuilding the heart.
My partner's father, who is 76, for 2 years ago was in very bad shape. He suffered from 6 heart attacks, but his EKG in Poland was showing always 6 scars on his heart. 2 years ago, we started him on quantum biofeedback sessions and got him on Cardio for Life. 1 year ago, in May of 2013, during regular checkups, his cardiologist asked him to come the next day because he was reading only 2 scars. Next day, on a different EKG machine, they received the same picture, only 2 scars on his heart. They held him for 3 weeks in a clinic for observation, and they ran EKG and all other tests. They wanted to know what kind of medicines he was taking to have only 2 scars, since everyone knows heart tissue cannot heal. So we know that part of it was the quantum biofeedback. Repair of heart scar tissue is not a medical vocabulary. They deny its possibility. You saved lives you even have no idea about, and they were from Poland.
Yes, the doctors have too long been owned by the cigarette companies, owned by the drug companies, and they've been licensed to kill. And the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: sugar, tobacco, oil, and pharma.
What we've just seen is a perfect example of how we've changed our entire culture. And before the entire culture changes, you should start changing your own home and what you feed your children, what you feed yourself, and start to recognize that prevention is worthwhile. An ounce of prevention truly is worth a pound of cure. And if we start looking at food is your medicine, and start trying to find out just how to be the best that you can be, start looking for that peak performance. Just a small change in the diet, within a week or 2, you adapt to the new flavors. The whole thing that happened in New York when they made trans fats illegal, everybody yelled and screamed, but within 2-3 weeks, they just developed a new palate, and they no longer now like those trans fats. Now they like the more healthy fats. This is what the body will do. You can become addicted, you can become habitual into a diet, but then you can just make a new habit and a new pattern if you start getting into healthy foods. And our entire culture is designed to try to charge you more for healthy foods, but that shouldn't be the way. If you understand what it takes to grow a cow in Argentina, transport them, freeze them, to make that burger for you from McDonald's, it's much, much more expensive than what they can grow the grains in the backyard, right there in the city that you're in, nearby, to be able to make enough grain to give you a good veggie burger, and with proper technology and soy sauce and etc., they can capture a complete flavor. And McDonald's could make that hamburger much, much cheaper. They could make that hamburger much, much cheaper. We need to start looking at all these different factors, but you yourself need to start recognizing what are the enemies to health and what you need to do about it and how you need to be able to start eating properly. Now here's a list of the different foods that will build back your bowel flora. These are very good, and it starts with cabbage. It starts with the probiotic compounds. It starts with a host of these other things that you build into your diet, and you throw away all that sugar juice and the sugar drinks, and you get good, solid 100% fruit juices. Then when you take them home, you dilute them to taste. They're always too strong. You could dilute them at least 50-50. Sometimes one-third juice to 2/3 water. And you can find the right flavor for you and gradually take it down a little bit as you need more and more water and less of the juice. And thereby you can stop the generation of all that different fat from the fructose from those juices. As this all works through, you can start to find the right way to be and the right way to clean your body and the right way to approach healthcare. This is the Lessons from IMUNE. I hope that you've learned something in today and open up the books and learn a lot more. Desiree Dubonnet signing off.
I have scoured through the medical literature at all the randomized controlled trials, and the single most successful strategy to date is a diet of whole plant foods. The single most effective intervention like that ever published in the peer-reviewed scientific medical literature, a whole food plant-based diet. That works better than anything else studied to date.
The whole plant food diet means we're getting the whole plant, that we're getting that cell wall. We're not going to take parts out of the plant and try to synthetically drive it. But we're going to use the whole plant. We can cook it, that's fine. But what we're going to find is that the cell walls in the plant cells have the cellulose and the other fiber that needs to feed our bowel bacteria. So we see the effects that it has on weight loss.
I mean, we've known for more than 40 years that those who eat predominantly plant-based weigh, on average, about 30 pounds lighter than the general population. But you don't know if it's the diet itself until you put it to the test. In 2017, a group of researchers in New Zealand published a broad study, a 12-week randomized controlled trial in the region with the highest obesity rates, the poorest region in the country. Overweight individuals were randomized to either standard medical care or semi-weekly classes offering advice and encouragement to eat a low-fat diet centered around fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, which are beans, split peas, chickpeas, and lentils. And that's all it was, just empowerment with knowledge. No meals were provided. People were merely informed about the benefits of plant-based eating and encouraged to, incorporate it into their own lives. No significant change in the control group, but the plant-based intervention group, even without any restrictions on portions, being able to freely eat all the healthy foods they wanted, lost, on average, 19 pounds by the end of the 3-month study. Look, 19 pounds is a respectable weight loss.
And it was done with plant-based food, whole plant food, cooked well, seasoned, learning how to cook, learning how to capture the flavor, learning how to use the whole plant food.
But what happened next? At the end of those 12 weeks, class was dismissed and no more instruction was given. The researchers were curious, how much weight the subjects had gained back after being released from the study. So at the 6-month mark, everyone was invited back to get reweighed. The plant-based group had left the 3-month study 19 pounds lighter, but by 6 months they were only down about 27 pounds. They got even better. The plant-based group was feeling so good physically and mentally, had been able to come off so many of their medications that they were sticking with the diet on their own, and the weight had continued to come off.
Now they're getting their fiber from the cell walls of the plant to stabilize the gut. The fiber helps electrically stimulate everything and feeds the gut bacteria. So now they're making the hormones serotonin, GABA, dopamine, oxytocin. They're making everything themselves. They don't need a pharmacy. They're making everything inside themselves. They're establishing health, vitality to the human being. Not only is this the most successful weight loss, it lowers blood sugar for diabetes, improves kidney function. In fact, it is the universal diet that we now know helps virtually everything.
All right, what about a year later? Even in studies that last a whole year, where people are, put on a particular diet, coached the entire year to stick to it, by the end of the year, any initial weight loss in the first few months tends to creep on back. The broad study only lasted 3 months, yet after it was all over, those who had been randomized to the plant-based group not only lost dozens of pounds, they kept it off. They not only lost more weight at 6 and 12 months than any other comparable trial. That was months after the study had already ended. Whole food plant-based diet achieved the greatest weight loss ever recorded compared to any other such trial published in the medical literature. You can read the record-breaking study free in full at nature.com/article/NUTD2173, or just point your phone camera at the screen and pick off the QR code.
Now, if you want to go on the plant-based diet, it's very simple. To be able to just get the fruits and vegetables, the spices, the legumes, the grains, and to prepare these things, it just needs a little bit of recipe training, and your palate will readjust very simply. And it's just getting the whole plant foods more into your diet.
Any diet that results in a reduction in calorie intake can result in weight loss. Dropping pounds isn't so much the issue. The problem is keeping them off. And a key difference between plant-based nutrition and more traditional approaches to weight loss is people are encouraged to eat ad libitum, meaning you can eat as much as you want. No calorie counting, no portion control, just eating. Right? The strategy is to improve the quality of the food rather than restricting the quantity of food.
Learning to eat right, change the food, change your life, and learning to eat what the human body was meant to eat. Whole plant foods. This should be our primary source of diet.
If you put people on a diet packed with fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans, and allow them to eat as much as they want, they end up eating about 50% fewer calories than they otherwise would. Wait, how can you keep people satisfied removing 1,000 calories out of their daily diet? By eating more high bulk, low calorie density foods, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and beans, and fewer calorie dense foods, the meats, cheeses, sugars, and fats. But it may not just be the calories in side of the equation.
When you start to get the whole plant foods like these smoothies, you're getting these cell walls. This will take a little bit more effort to digest, and you're starting to get the proper fiber that people need. And if we can learn what not to eat the high-fat foods, and the boiled in oil foods and the nitrates, we start to learn more about this, what not to eat, and what to eat, we start to get more healthy.
Those eating more plant-based appear to effectively be burning more calories in their sleep. The resting metabolic rate of those eating more plant-based may be 10% higher or more, a boost of metabolism that can translate into burning off hundreds of extra calories a day more without doing a thing. Eating plant-based, you burn more calories just being alive, just existing.
Yes, you can lose weight while you sleep. Your metabolic rate goes up when you start getting these high fiber foods. This produces the ability to balance the body, getting the different foods that you need. And if you use hot air popcorn and other things, you can get the fiber and increase your health.
Food plant-based diets have been shown to actually reverse heart disease. That's what Ornish and Pritikin used. So what appears to be the most effective diet for weight loss just so happens to be the only diet ever proven to reverse heart disease in the majority of patients. If my grandma didn't have to die like that, maybe no one's grandma has to die like that. If that's all a plant-based diet could do, reverse the #1 killer of men and women, shouldn't that kind of be the default diet to proven otherwise? And the fact that it can also be so effective in treating, arresting, or reversing other leading killers like type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure would seem to make the case for plant-based eating simply overwhelming. Only one diet has ever been shown to do all that, a diet centered around whole plant foods.
The benefits of the whole plant foods for weight loss, to improve the mind, to improve the blood, to improve everything. It's incredible, powerful, earth-changing. We now recognize that we have to get the cell walls. We can't strip them away. We have to get the whole plant food, and it's easy to change your palate and to get this type of food. Within just a short period of time, your palate will reorganize. And once you start to make these hormones in your gut, the happiness hormones, the stress reduction, the motivation, the bonding hormones, your life becomes better in 1,000 ways, physically and mentally. If you learn what not to eat, then learn what to eat, and learn that we have to avoid these processed foods, the junk foods. They don't have the fiber in them. They're high calorie, low nutrition, low fiber. We must avoid these. Now we can start to get back to true health. So now you know we have to get to whole food, plant-based, for any disease, mental, physical, whatever. We now know that we're going to have a happier, healthier life if we can increase whole plant foods.
Your microbiome is nourished by meals like this, rich in soluble fiber, also referred to as resistant starch. Soluble fiber can't be digested by your body, but instead becomes food for your gut bacteria. Most starch is easily digested. Starch is dissolved in the small intestine and then absorbed by your body, providing you with energy and nutrients. The remaining non-digestible portion is called resistant starch or soluble fiber. The soluble fiber continues its journey through your gut and arrives at the large intestine. We see that the soluble fiber has become exposed to the healthy bacteria of the gut microbiome. This species of bacteria specialize in breaking down soluble fiber. This breakdown process provides the bacteria with the fuel they need to survive. As they use the soluble fiber for energy, they release small carbohydrate molecules. The neighboring bacteria feed on these carbohydrates. As the bacteria feed, they excrete even smaller molecules as waste. One of the final waste products is called butyrate, an energy source for your body. As the butyrate builds up, it is absorbed by the large intestine. The presence of butyrate encourages blood to flow into the vessels of the large intestine, keeping the tissue healthy. If your diet includes enough soluble fiber, these cells will use butyrate as their main source of energy. Here, we can see the molecular surface of one of the intestinal cells. The surface is covered in special proteins that actively pump butyrate molecules into the cell. Once inside, they can be harvested for energy. In addition, butyrate has other benefits. Intestinal cells are sensitive to DNA damage caused by toxic foods and artificial ingredients. This cell's DNA has been damaged, resulting in a mutation. More damage could accumulate over time as the cell divides, which could lead to colon cancer. But a steady supply of butyrate allows the damage to be more easily detected, and the cell can activate a suicide program in response. Because the damaged cell destroys itself, it can't progress to form a cancer. A starved microbiome is unable to protect you from cancer. By eating foods rich in soluble fiber-resistant starch, you can nourish your microbiome and improve your health.
When bacteria digest fiber, they produce short-chain fatty acids that nourish the gut barrier, improve immune function, and can help prevent inflammation, which reduces the risk of cancer.
The fiber that we're talking about comes from the cell walls of the plant cells. Animal cells have a soft membrane. When you eat meat, it's more easy to digest. You don't get that fiber. The fiber comes in from the cell walls of plants. And we need to have the whole cell, the whole plant. We have to get the whole plant foods. But our society has decided to remove many of the cell walls. Like in the juice, apple juice, orange juice, they removed the cell walls. You see, they removed that. Now with smoothies, we can get back the cell walls. And we get that fiber that comes from the cell walls. With flour, they removed the cell wall from the flour. They removed the cell wall from the sugar. So all of these processed foods have now become low fiber and thereby problems. We need to get good whole plant foods so we can understand more about all of the benefits that happen from whole plant foods. When you don't get enough fiber and you take in sugar, you can get bad bacteria that will take over your brain.
Signals from stimuli are converted into tiny electrical pulses. These pulses propagate via synapses onto the afferent neuron of the vagus nerve. Vagal neurons carry the sensory information to the brainstem, linking the signals generated inside the small intestine to the brain. The neuropod cell connection with the vagus nerve serves as a conduit for food in the gut to influence brain function within seconds. This connection is also a potential portal for gut pathogens to access the brain.
Now we can see and one can understand the mechanism of how this bacteria through the vagus nerve can take over the brain. The sugar-fed bacteria will make you crave the sugar, crave antibiotics, but antibiotics also feed it. And this will create a problem that lowers your IQ, lowers your memory, makes it unable to deal with stress. You cannot make the different hormones, and the bad bacteria take over your brain, make you crave the food that feeds them, not the food that feeds you. And whole foods with fiber, whole plant foods, are the answer. Our society's made several mistakes with nutrition, and removing the cell wall from plants is one of them. Overeating of meat, boiling in oil, white sugar, a host of other different mistakes. But now we start to really understand that what we need is, as the Bible told us, that the food will come from the seeds of the fruits of plants.